Hey, I'm Jeff Stevens from oregonplex, 2, 3, and 4 unit plex specialist across Oregon. I am primarily a real estate investor myself, and I have a license so I can help other people who love buying and selling 2, 3, and 4 plex properties. And today I've got my most recent March market update for Portland. And I keep this to the Portland proper area, and maybe in the future we'll do some more of the suburban areas. But I break this into two categories: the East Side and North Portland, which I find have pretty similar dynamics, and then the West Side as well. So we're gonna start with the East Side and North Portland, and I'm just gonna share with you a couple of the highlights and some of my takeaways from this. Now, admittedly, it's been a few months since I did this the last time. And so I have the benefit, though, of seeing changes over time. Now, the number of current properties that are active in this 2, 3, and 4 unit category is down quite a bit from the last couple times I did this report in the latter parts of 2025. We have just 91 active units or active properties, rather, whereas it was 133 and 127 in the last time. So there are fewer properties that are on the market, but the days on the market are definitely going up, and the average prices per unit are going up as well. And I should say they're going up in the attempt category, right? These are not successful sales, but people are trying to sell for higher prices. Prices per square foot are up from 272 was my last reading to 287. Price per unit from 282 to 311 or 312. And so what we see is kind of I think it's like a fishing expedition. People are trying to see if they can get higher prices, even though the market is not really showing that that is indeed possible. On the closed transactions, we that's down just a little bit also from last time. Last time is hovering around 50, the last couple reports. Now we're at 34. The average price per unit is 257 and a half thousand dollars. So we have average price per unit of that's listed of 312,000 and average price per unit of closed 257. So we definitely see a disparity. And I guess what I see is a widening gap between sort of the unsuccessful attempts at selling that some properties or some sellers are trying to do by listing their properties for prices probably higher than they should be. And then we have days on market that are very reasonable and actually have gone down even on the closed sales. So average days on market for active ones right now is 147, whereas average days on market for the closed ones is actually half that at 72. So we see people who really want to sell for sure, and they're achieving that in a reasonable time frame. And then we see people who it's like they act like they want to sell, but we don't know for sure if they really do. So when we switch to the west side, we see similar types of dynamics overall. Uh, the number of active properties now is way less than half of what it was the last couple times that I ran this report. Or I should say, last couple times I hand compiled this report painstakingly, no AI involved. Last time it was like 30 active properties in this category on the west side, and now it's 12. So that's a huge cut, a huge cut. The average price per unit that's being attempted in these active listings is $416,000, and average days on market is 75. So 75 actually isn't outrageous. I'd say it seems to be pretty normal kind of at this point. So that's, I guess, a good indicator that some of these sellers might be a little bit more reasonable. However, and this is a big however, when I look at the closed sales have an average price per unit of 276,000, and we have average price per unit listed of 416. That is one heck of a big gap and a big old disparity. Average days on market for those ones that closed is actually 98. So that's a little bit higher than I expected, although down a little bit from the last time we did this report. And that is pretty much a good summary of what's happening in Portland, the inner parts of Portland, east side and west side and North Portland, as it relates to the Plex market. Overall, my humble opinion is if you want to sell a Plex right now, that you need to sort of acknowledge that even though inventory is low and some of those things like statistically says, oh, maybe it's a balanced market or maybe it's a seller's market. The vibes are no, it's not definitely not a seller's market. It is a buyer's market. So for those who I will end up working with and listing, we do need to know that our product needs to go out to the market looking as good as it can with the best rent roll that it can have. And we have to be reasonable about the pricing so that we can get it sold in a reasonable time. I'm Jeff from the Oregonplex, and I look forward to sharing the next market reports with you. As always, feel free to reach out with any questions if you want to talk about your property, you want to talk about buying something, anything, I'd be happy to chat with you about that. Okay, thanks so much.